So, you've just been out and you bought the Snyder Cut of the Justice League film. So, that means that your original DVD of the Justice League can go straight in the bin. But just you wait a cotton-picking minute. Hello, and welcome back to the Adrian Project. Hello. Many thanks for choosing to click my thumbnail and to watch my content. Very much appreciated as always. Okay, so seen from the thumbnail, today I'm going to be having a plain talking review of Zack Snyder's cut of the Justice League. Now, unless you've been living under a rock for the last 8 or 9 years, you should know the story behind Justice League. Zack Snyder was hired to make the Justice League film. A family tragedy. In stepped Joss Wheedon to take over and finish it, and then proceeded to dismantle the whole film and do his own version of it, much to the chagrin of many fans. Now, myself, I actually like the Justice League film. I think it's great, the original version of it. And for a very long time, this was going to be the only version we were going to have. I know there's a lot of deriders for this film, usually from YouTubers trying to make a name for themselves, I feel, and your ex film school students who think just because they've done a bit of a course for 3 years that they know it all. But no, I think it's a nice film. It's a great film. I really enjoyed it. But then, of course, came the backlash from the fanboys who absolutely hated it. And then there was rumours that there was a Snyder Cut. Now, what's a Snyder Cut if you don't know? That was Zack Snyder's vision of the film. All the bits that Joss Wheedon said, no, we're not having that drivel. I'm not doing it my way. He left it on the cutting room floor, but Zack Snyder had still got a lot of what he'd filmed, which was, I think it was around 80% of it. And after loads of petitioning and loads of badgering, Zack Snyder kept saying, no, I'm not interested in doing my version of it. Then he did sort of, hint that, yeah, well, I do have this stuff, but, are people going to want it after the release of the original Justice League film? But fan pressure around the world sort of in the end got this film made. So you may have already seen it when it first came out, when they did it on, was it Netflix or whichever one it was. I know wasn't on Amazon Prime, so I couldn't get to watch it, so I finally managed to go out and get it on DVD and watch it myself. Okay, so what are the differences? It's chalk and cheese. The best way I can describe this is if you go into your local video shop, or if you've got the horror channel or the sci-fi channel, on there you get films which seem to be very similar to big blockbuster movies. You think Independence Day? Well, if you go on the sci-fi channel, there's a carbon copy of that film, but it's made extremely cheaply. It's the same story. Now, sometimes, well, 99% of the time, these cheap versions aren't a patch on the big blockbuster one. But just as a side note, the Will Smith film, I Am Legend, if you can find the film that came out more or less around at the same time, which is an independent film, that is actually a much better film. And from what I've been told, the smaller independent version of that film sticks to the book a hell of a lot more than what I Am Legend does, but that's going off on a tangent. So, Justice League, the original Whedon cut, is about 2 hours, 2 hours 20 running time, something like that. The Zack Snyder cut is just shy of 4 hours. It's a very long haul. I think you're going to have a cast iron backside to sit and watch it all in one go, or the world's most comfiest chair. Me and Claire watched this. It comes on a 2-disc DVD set. We watched the first disc, then we had his tea, and then we watched the second disc after. We had a bit of a rest from it. So that's one of the big differences. But like I said, it's chalk and cheese. They are like two different films, almost totally different films. There seems to be, it's got the same thread running through it, obviously. It's the same story. But you sit and watch the two films and then you realise what a vast amount of difference there is between the Zack Snyder's cut and what Joss Wheedon did it. With Joss Whedon's version, you got a Joss Whedon film. If you know his films and his TV programmes, he follows this format, and he did exactly the same with Justice League. Zack Snyder's vision, totally screwed up and thrown out the window. So with the Zack Snyder cut, I'm trying not to get myself all confused here, what we get is a much longer film. Like I say, it's nearly 4 hours, but characters are more padded out. The one that stands out head and shoulders above everybody else is the Cyborg character. In Whedon's version, it was sort of a side note, didn't really seem to do much in the film. In the Zack Snyder cut, he has got much more of a bigger story arc, and you can really get behind his character. One of the little niggles I do have about the Snyder cut is the Lois Lane story. I thought that was wasn't necessary. I didn't think myself. I thought it was felt a bit like padding. They sort of brought her story more to the fore, or because of the death of Superman and how it was affecting her and Clark's mother as well. But I didn't feel that it was really that necessary. That's one of the low marks for me on the Snyder Cut version. You didn't get that in the Whedon version, but that was one small part of the film I thought it could have done without. One part of the Snyder Cut that was in Whedon's version, but not in his version, which I was glad about. If you've seen the original version, if not, then go away and watch the films, then come back and watch my review. But in Whedon's version, there was that family living in the house where the cooling towers, where Steppenwolf had set up base, and they sort of barricaded themselves inside, and then we had the whole Barry Allen saving them story, which I thought was a bit on that version. I did find that rankling a bit. That's totally not included in the Snyder Cut. Sorry, and that's one thing I did absolutely praise. I thought that was great. We didn't need that. That was unnecessary, and I think Zack Snyder thought exactly the same thing, and he just took that bit out. There is another little niggle about the Snyder Cut version, and that is the format. Now, the Justice League version, you've got, sorry, that's a little message coming in and all that. You've got sort of like the widescreen version, of course, haven't you? But for some reason, the Snyder Cut on that is it 6:4 ratio, something like that. I can't remember offhand, but if you think, if you watch some of these old 1970s comedies that are rerun on the television, because they were made in a different format, and you've got the two black bars that go down either side of the screen. Well, that's how this film is. You've got 4 hours of that now. You know, I thought it was going to bug me, but after, I don't know, about 10 minutes, I didn't even notice it. I don't know why they didn't do it widescreen, because that just looks like it's made for your old cathode ray tube television set. So no, that didn't. It didn't rankle me much, but I would have much preferred it have been in widescreen, and there didn't seem to be an option to change the ratio either. But that's just a minor niggle for me. Loads more action in the Snyder Cut. Steppenwolf, his version of Steppenwolf is absolutely awesome, and it makes Whedon's version of Steppenwolf seem like a bit of a whiny little bitch. But his version, he did look the villain that you wanted. His whole armor, all the spiky bits and the armor on that was fantastic. And I think the Steppenwolf in this version was a whole lot more rounded as well. A lot more backstory. I really enjoyed the backstory. They were not flashbacks, are they? The sort of visions they kept having sort of worked well. The one, I don't know if you were the same out there watching it, but the one that I was waiting for was the one with the Joker on. And the more and more the film went on, I was thinking, they've cut it out. They've not put that bit in. It's one of those things where you see it in the trailer and it's not in the film. They cut it out, but yes, it is there. And Jared Leto, why didn't he play the Joker that way instead of how he did in Suicide Squad? I love Suicide Squad. I'm one of those people that actually love that film. Me and Claire both love it. And I think he would have got a lot more in that film had he played it the way he did in Justice League. Apparently, if you sort of read between the lines, he is how he is in that film and not how he was in this Suicide Squad, because he'd been worked on in Arkham Asylum, so it was a little bit more twisted. There's a great little plot twist there as well. If you've seen it, you'll know what I mean, when Batman's talking to him and he was on about Harley Quinn, and Batman was there when Harley Quinn died, so that would make a great story in itself. And that leads me on to the ending, when we've got Darkseid, who looks like, for all intents and purposes, he's going to come through this rift. And I say, this is a big spoiler now, so please don't watch this if you've not watched this the Snyder Cut yet. But there's Darkseid, and for me, he'd wipe the floor with Thanos every single day of the week. For me, looked like he was going to come through, and of course they cut off his route, and he's turned around and said, right, we'll do it the old-fashioned way. We'll just travel through space and time and all, whatever means he gets to come to this planet. And that got me thinking, Zack Snyder, you've got to do a follow-up to this. I know he said he's got absolutely no interest in doing the follow-up to this. But for me, I think at the back of my mind, I think if you get a big enough wad of cash, waft it under Zack Snyder's nose, he's going to say, okay, let's get this follow-up done, because the Snyder Cut, it needs it. You've laid down the seeds there. Of course, we've got the end bit as well, with Martian Manhunter. Now, if me, you didn't know the comics, I only know Martian Manhunter from the Supergirl series. So when he appeared, I went, I know who he is. So if you don't know who Martian Manhunter is, go and watch the first season of Supergirl, which isn't as bad as all the naysayers on YouTube say. That's another that's another topic for another video. But you know, all these fanboys have got issues with how it was done, but it's not as bad as they make out. I like it. I think it's great bit of popcorn fun. So if you don't know who Martian Manhunter is, have a look on there. They've set his character up. We've set Darkseid up. You know, he's on his way. This film needs making. Okay, so it's just my way of looking at it, of course. It's all down to opinion. You might have your own opinion on the film. You might think the original Justice League pile of cack. I think it's good. I quite like it. I think it's great. Justice League, the Snyder Cut, absolutely awesome. And I'm going to put my neck on the line here and say Marvel, Infinity War and Endgame, you've just had your ass kicked by the Snyder Cut. I would soon sit and watch this. I love Marvel films. I love Infinity War and I love Endgame, even though they do have their issues in their own right. And this film is so much darker, and that's what I love about my superhero films. I don't like too much fluff and comedy in them, you know, but for me, it's Justice League. I think that is possibly, after the Batman trilogy, Nolan Batman trilogy, it's possibly the greatest superhero film ever made, I think. That's why I'm going to stick my neck on the line here. I'll be waiting for the torch-wielding mob, you know, come outside my house. But like I say, it is an awesome film, and give yourself an afternoon to watch it. Have a break in the middle, give your arse a rest. If you like I say, if you've got the world's comfiest settee, then you can watch it all in one go. But you know, you do have the opportunity to watch it to two goes. So for Evil Ednas, Joss Whedon's sci-fi channel version, shall we say, of the Justice League, I love it. A lot of people hate it. I love it. I'd give that 4 Evil Ednas, which means Zack Snyder's cut of Justice League. I wish I could give it more, but I'll only go up so far. It's going to have my full 5 Evil Ednas. And that's the end of today's video. I hope you all enjoyed that one. Please remember, if you haven't done so already, to subscribe to my channel. It'd be very much appreciated. And also, don't forget to ring that little notification bell.